Dr Reena here. I'm a dental specialist and founder of RW Perio, located at 75 Harley Street. Welcome to my podcast, Life and Smile, where we talk about everything dental, lifestyle, business, and much more. Every episode, I'm joined in conversation with a specialist expert in their chosen field, who give us a behind-the-scenes glimpse into their daily regime, career turning points, and an insider look at what they can't live without. As a businesswoman myself, it's so inspiring to hear how people have built their careers and shattered those glass ceilings. So let's get the conversation going. Dr. Reena here, welcoming you back for another inspiring episode of our 5th season of Life and Smile podcast, recorded here at Harley Street in our recording studio. Joining me today is Sonia Haria, and I can't wait to get this conversation going. As an industry great, Sonia is an award-winning journalist, brand consultant, and the author with over 15 years of experience in the beauty industry. Sonia has been the beauty director of Telegraph Media Group since 2016 and works closely with the British Beauty Council, sitting on the council's advisory board and policy committee. You will now, of course, know that Sonia launched her first book, South Asian Beauty, in August. Sonia, an official welcome to the Life and Smile podcast. We have so much to talk about, so thank you so much for giving your time, because I know you're super busy right now.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to have our chat and our conversation.
Amazing. So let's start from the beginning. So like the early years and starting out. Talk us through sort of how your career started and progressed.
So I think I decided I wanted to be a journalist when I was about 10 years old. I was sort of speaking with my father about career things, as you do. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I was a real bookworm. I just love reading. I love writing. English was always a real strength of mine at school. And my dad was like, what about a journalist? What's a journalist? You write in newspapers, and that's what you kind of, that's the... you read loads and you write loads, and that's what a journalist is. Like, that just sounds like my dream career. Amazing. Okay, so from the age of 10, I kind of decided, right, that's what I want to do. And actually, I never kind of, beauty wasn't always on my radar at all. Like when I studied journalism and history at university, and it was always the intention of becoming a news reporter. I was really into news. I still really am into news. I've always got the news on, much to the annoyance of my husband. But I always wanted to go into storytelling and news writing and that sort of thing. And then while I was at university studying journalism, I worked on a makeup counter at the weekends in Peter Jones in Sloane Square. I was on a makeup counter, and that's kind of how I sort of made any money on the side of university. Saturdays and Sundays I'd be on the makeup counter having people in the chair. I wasn't a makeup artist, but just having that interaction on kind of knowing what the just the mood boosting ability of beauty really I kind of had from the age of 18. I just suddenly clicked. I was like, this is amazing. The beauty world is incredible. And then when I started at the Telegraph, I started kind of after I finished my second year of university, and I had a year out in the industry, and I thankfully had a sort of 3-week placement at the Telegraph at the time, and the 3 weeks just kind of turned into 3 months. Then they asked me to stay for 6 months, and after about 9 months, they offered me a job as an editorial assistant. So I just, as any sort of, wannabe journalist, and all of my teachers, all my tutors at university were all obviously jobbing journalists. They were like, you mustn't turn down that opportunity. Sure. So I took the job, and I finished my 3rd year of university while I was working. So I just didn't go to any seminars. I just did it all in my own time, which, I think looking back was really intense. But I feel like at the age of 20, I can do, sure, that's fine. You've got no other responsibilities. So that's what I did. And I've been there for 17 years. Wow.
That's incredible.
And I kind of started off in the sort of more general sort of news and lifestyle. And then, the beauty desk was always kind of there in the background, beauty and fashion. I just found it just the most incredible sort of section of the newsroom. And just jumped at the chance when a beauty page, you know, I sort of had already some beauty knowledge from working on a makeup counter for such a long time. And so, yeah, it was just like the meeting of two worlds that I was obsessed with, kind of writing, reading, and then, you know, beauty and empowering and working with women and lifestyle. And so, yeah, it's just been a really... It's been a long journey, but it's been brilliant. Yeah, and I've been, as I say, been there such a long time.
That's amazing. I think it's, as you said, being able to bring those worlds together that you love as almost, I mean, it's a job, but I'm sure for you it doesn't feel like work. It's something you love and have a passion for, and you're able to do that every day, which is incredible. With initially, when you were interested in sort of the reading, writing, what was it about it that kind of drew you? Was it the fact that you could like focus on something and really go into depth on it? What was it that kind of drew you to that?
I always loved the idea of storytelling, and I feel like even throughout my book, I've done a lot of, it's, you know, I sort of think of it not really as a beauty book, because even though there's lots of tips and tricks and there's product suggestions, I really wanted to focus on storytelling, which is what I really love about words. You know, you can kind of go from a blank sheet of paper.
Yes.
And within 2 hours have something incredible. Yeah, I'm not saying that's my process all the time. You know, there's often times when I procrastinate and I sort of think, oh, I just don't know if I'm in the right frame of mind to write something. But I just think it's kind of magical.
Yeah.
You know, being able to express certain things through words, whether that's, you know, through an interview I might do in the newspaper, or through anything, you know, personal projects and book writing and that sort of thing. I just think... for me, that really excites me. There's nothing more that I love in a really geeky way than to sit behind a laptop and write. You know, I love all of the other things, and I love the all of the other kind of amazing things I get to do with my work. But for me, you know, my passion really is still kind of writing and talking to people.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I think it's that creativity, and you're right. It is an art, and bringing it to life is it's a privilege, I guess. And I mean, the landscape of beauty is constantly evolving, and you said you've been involved in the industry, I mean, for such a long time. Do you have any like personal favorite subjects that you've liked to be involved in, or any personal projects? Of course, we've got the book, but over the years, sort of anything that has been really impactful that you've thought, wow, that's been incredible to be a part of?
Absolutely, yeah. So during lockdown, we kind of shifted from our focus, you know, at the Telegraph, from being sort of beauty features and interviews and that sort of thing. We kind of quite quickly sort of pivoted to becoming a beauty news desk, essentially. Right. So, you know, because there was so much around lockdown openings and closures with salons and clinics, and so many different rules of what you could do and couldn't do, and there's so many sort of nuances in that whole landscape. So for me, that was a real kind of, you know, I learned so much in that, and that's when I really started working really closely with Millie Kendall, who's the CEO of the British Beauty Council. We would be sort of up most nights, sort of WhatsApping until like 4 a.m. if there any news had come in. I mean, I genuinely spoke to her more than I did my husband during that whole period, because so much was changing, and it was, you know, it was such a worrying time, but it was also really exciting in terms of being able to quite quickly get out messages and interviews and news through, you know, the means of a newspaper, but also utilising social media to speak to so many brilliant, you know, specialists in the hair, skin, beauty fields. So that whole lockdown era for me was quite a defining moment in that I kind of realised actually there's real power in what we're doing as journalists, to kind of communicate messages to people at such a monumental time for so many people.
And do you feel like there was also on the other side of it like a massive increase in interest in it as well, because everyone's doing Zooms. They can see themselves like constantly on the screen. We definitely found it with dental. Like people definitely were more interested in aligning their teeth and doing everything else because I think they were constantly looking at themselves. Did you find that from your people who are following you, like in your network, was there more increase in that topic as well?
Absolutely. I don't think, beforehand, you'd sort of either put yourself into one group or another. You'd either be really into beauty or you're not so much into beauty. But I think what that whole kind of pandemic era made us see is, like you say, we kind of are constantly looking at ourselves, and you can't go and get your eyebrows threaded and suddenly that's, you're aware of that, or you can't, or your teeth, or you're looking at your skin a lot more. It's just very, very different.
Yeah.
You're also maybe you weren't spending that time on, your whole sort of self-care as you would at any other time. So I definitely think after that, men, women, I don't even think it's a gender thing. I think everyone's just very much more aware of, visually what matters to them. And it's not a vanity thing. I think that's a big thing in beauty that I've really tried to sort of get the message across is, beauty is not just about vanity.
For sure.
Sure, it's nice to look nice and, to present yourself in a certain way, but it's so tied to confidence and how you feel inside.
Definitely. I think that definitely comes across in your book as well, in terms of that inner beauty, and a small part of it is the visual side of it, for sure. Looking back on your career to date, if you were going to give yourself any advice, or looking back at your younger self, for someone who is just starting on their career and wants to follow a similar path, is there any bits of advice that you'd give them now, looking back on everything that you've achieved?
I think the landscape of journalism has changed so much in my time. I think in that short space of 15 to 20 years, I think in that time we've seen this whole revolution of social media, this whole kind of rise of content creators. I think there's been a real shift. So we're very much, when I know it was only 17 years ago, but I remember faxing research to writers that I was doing research for. Like that was only that wasn't
exactly
massively
it's not as
long
long
ago.
as
Like we had only just really sort of everyone would just be picking up the phone and calling to people. It's I think that it's changed so much. What I would say is nothing ever beats on the job experience.
Yes.
So whether it's kind of, if you're really passionate about journalism, it's not all glamorous, but it's definitely, there's a lot to learn. And I think, you can kind of do degrees and study it and everything, but like so many topics and so many industries, there's nothing quite like being on the job. And I think if possible, work experience is always really good. And also reading loads, I think that's always really overlooked. I think I read loads, and not always for pleasure, just because I think actually it's really nice to read a variety of things. Yeah. So I don't read things just in beauty, all sorts of things. So from different publications, different sort of, around the world. I subscribe to lots of like US sites.
Right.
Because I think reading loads helps you become a better writer. It really, really does. So I read loads, and also just keeping an open mind with journalism. It's nicer and it's easier now to actually be to not feel like you have to specialize in one certain thing. Like you could have a variety of interests. It's just, I think essentially what it comes down to is being a really good communicator and being able to kind of relay a message to a large group of people. And I think it's a great industry. It's a hard industry to get into, but it's a great one.
For sure, yeah. I think that sometimes what people see on socials, and it's all the kind of nice, glamorous stuff, but there is graft and hard work behind that. And as you said, many, many, many hours of reading and learning. And yeah, I like the point you said about actually getting out there and getting experience. I think especially nowadays with, you know, the social media side of things, it's very easy just to sit behind your laptop and also not have, some people don't have that confidence to go out there and really, but I think, as you said, I think it is important to push yourself and meet people in person and get that hands-on experience.
And I think that kind of that in person is so important.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy for us now as we're getting old, and I so sympathise with the younger generations, because actually it's so hard. You're not taught those sorts of social communication skills in school. You know, when I was sort of training, you have to pick up a phone, you have to speak to people, you have to go over to someone's house, you have to kind of have those conversations and be able to adapt your social skills to different scenarios. Yeah. And I totally don't, I really sympathise for the younger generations, because actually it's so digital focused.
Exactly.
That actually it's really hard for them to kind of break out of that. But I really think nothing quite beats that sort of in-person interactions and communications. Definitely.
And I think your point on reading as well is, you know, it's eye-opening, reading different things from different backgrounds. How do you find the time? Like, because obviously it's part of your role as well, but for people like day to day, that they buy lots of books, they want to read it, or they subscribe to something, do you like have a schedule of when you, I know it sounds strange, but do you have like reading time during the day, or is it's just when you get a chance or when you're on the go? Or
so I normally, on my sort of commute into work, I'll always have an audiobook on.
Right.
So I do sometimes listen to music, but I'm that boring person who listens to, like, you know, I've always got my Audible list on, and I listen to a variety of things. At the moment I'm listening to Sapiens. Yeah. Just because I think I love history, so I love listening to that. But so I'll always kind of listen to an audiobook whenever I'm sort of going from A to B. Yes. And then I try to limit my social media time, because I can easily, and this has been really difficult to train myself into, I could easily spend, because, you know, once the kids are in bed, I like to have quite an early night, but I can easily spend 3 hours without knowing, scrolling through my phone, going from one page to another, Googling something, you know, that it's so easy to pass the time like that, but I don't always succeed, but I try to sort of cap it. So I don't definitely deny myself social media, because I feel like we're all addicted. Yeah. So I try to cap it to maybe, you know, I'll scroll for a bit, 45 minutes, an hour, or whatever. Yeah. Reply to a few emails, or, you know, that sort of thing. But then I do always try to make some time in the evening. Right. Because I sort of know if I'm not doing that, all I will be doing is scrolling on my phone. Sure. It doesn't always work, but I do. You try. I try there. Yeah. And then, you know, I just feel like I'm sort of, I often will find an article I find interesting and just sort of read it while I'm walking or something. You know, those kind of little moments. But it is hard. It's not easy to find the time. I think it's there's so many distractions. So many distractions. Yeah. No, for sure. I completely agree. I'm exactly the same. What would you say your proudest moment is today? Obviously, the COVID, during that period, big impact, involved in like lots of important work. Of course, you have your book. Would you say that is your proudest moment today? Or would you? I think so, yes. Yeah. I think it's always been something I wanted to write. Yes. Because, you know, I never saw any representation for a South Asian, you know, especially because beauty is so intrinsic in South Asian cultures. Yes. The only things I'd ever see would be sort of books on Ayurveda that would never resonate with me, because, you know, I don't have time to. It would always be quite authentic Ayurveda, which is incredible, and the teachings of Ayurveda are incredible. But I don't, in a modern lifestyle, it just doesn't work for me. So for me, I wanted to kind of create a book that looked at, you know, makeup, skincare, hair care, very much my field within work, but also looked at Ayurveda, wellness, Bollywood, because film industry is huge. There was just so much to talk about bridal.
Yeah.
But also to look at the cultural aspects. I didn't want to gloss over all of the sort of tricky issues, because I've got, things like colorism is so prevalent in South Asian cultures. Representation, I feel like there's a story to be told there. So that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to have all the lovely things, but also to almost stop for a moment and take stock of actually where are we. And it's a really exciting time, I think, to be South Asian, because suddenly brands really want to celebrate key moments in the year. Suddenly brands are really, there's definitely much more visual representation in campaigns and with brands and stuff. There's still quite a long way to go, but I feel like we're on a journey right now.
For sure.
So for me, I kind of wanted to, write a book that felt really relevant for me, felt relevant for my sisters, for my friends, for my mum. It's kind of, and not speaking from my experience as being a sort of, I wasn't born and raised in India, but I'm a, second generation. I was born in London. I'm speaking from my experience as someone who is kind of at odds of these two worlds. And so I think it's resonated definitely in that way. And, the book's going to launch soon in the US.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank
That's amazing.
you. And it's out in India as well at the moment. So it's nice to have all of those touch points and to kind of speak from my experience, which I think lots of people have, really similar experiences to.
Absolutely. No, I am addicted to your book. I've nearly finished it.
I love that.
It's literally on my bedside. I'm giving my husband tips whilst I'm reading it in bed at the end of the day. No, I love it. I think the history that you brought in, the story like of your family, like all of that. It's so, and so many of us have the same story as well. And it's like, oh, okay, we're in the same boat. Or I've experienced that. And the fact, of course, the beauty tips are absolutely brilliant, but the fact that you brought in the culture and the issues and things that we're all facing, and the advice is like, it's amazing. I think it's, you can dip in and out of it, and I think it's going to be a forever book that people will always turn to. So no, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I mean, day to day, your working week sounds pretty full on. You have a family, but every time kind of I see you on social, and obviously we've met today, you're always full of energy and like so positive. And so what keeps you going? Like, what keeps you inspired? Do you have like a mentor, or is it certain things you read, or, what keeps your energy level so high?
Lots of coffee, aside from the caffeine. I don't know. I've always been quite an optimistic person, a sort of glass half full rather than
exactly.
half empty. I think that's definitely come from my parents and my upbringing. Of course it's lovely, it's busy, but I'm in a fortunate position that I love what I do, and I don't, it's not a case of feeling like I need to people please so much, because I certainly did when I was younger, but now I don't. But I genuinely love what I do. I love the beauty industry. I love writing about it. I love. I think it's a really nice position to be in, because I certainly know that it's not always the case. Some people go into a certain industry or a field and sort of think, is this really what I want to be doing?
Yeah.
Always, but it's a juggle, and I definitely think that social media is very much a sort of curated shop window for people. Sure. I certainly put on the highlights on on Instagram. Course, but there's a lot of, I'm actually quite boring in
I love your social media. I think it's really like genuine and like real, which, as you said, you don't always get that. So I do love your videos and beauty tips and things like that. So, and I think you do keep it very real. Do you have like a typical working week, or like, do you have to go into the office? Do you work from home? What's your sort of
so I work for the Telegraph 3 days a week now.
Sure.
So after I came back from my last maternity leave, I went from 5 days a week to 3 days, which definitely gives me a really a type of balance that I've not had before. It's so nice. So on a Monday to Wednesday, I'm in the office, I'm in the newsroom.
Right.
It's very, full on long days in the office, but it's great because I kind of, I think for me, it's a really nice way to start the week. So
Yes.
I've got my full on newspaper days and deadlines, and I feel like I'm kind of constantly doing deadlines, but that's great because I thrive off that. I love a deadline. So that's Monday to Wednesday. And then Thursdays are my days off. So this is, again, a day I've never had before, even with my older kids, a day off.
Wow.
So I take my daughter to a music class,
So
and
nice.
I just go for, we might go for lunch, we might have a little play date.
Yeah.
We do, it's just, it's my day that I try to just keep for home. I'm often in leggings and a
Lovely,
and a t-shirt and
Yeah.
no makeup and
Love
hair
it.
up, and that's just my and I love that. I love my Thursdays. And then Fridays I do some of my own work and some like if I'm working on any sort of other book proposals and that sort of thing. So that happens on the Friday. And yeah, so that's my general working week. But I have to travel for work.
Sure.
Kind of not too frequently, but I do go away here and there for work, and then it's just all a bit of a juggle. But
it sounds like a really nice balance, and I like the fact you have that kind of lifestyle approach to everything, which is everything kind of merges into one world, which is nice.
Yeah, totally.
One favourite question, just to finish, that we like to ask all of our guests, and I'm really interested to see what you say for this. So 3 things we can always sort of find in your handbag as part of your mini survival kit. And you've got so much to pick from all the research and journalism that you do, but if you had to pick 3 things, it doesn't necessarily have to be beauty, what would they be that you always have with you?
Oh, that is a
It's
really
a tough
good
question.
I was on a trip yesterday with some younger journalists, and they were astounded at the fact that I still walk around. I still always have a dictaphone in my bag.
Really? Wow.
And we're like, don't you just use your phone? No, I always have my voice recorder with me, and I just thought everyone did, but that's one thing that is always in my handbag because I'm always ready to, I don't know, it must just be a force of habit. That's always in my handbag. And I just never trust my phone completely,
Yeah.
Always some kind of lip product.
Yes.
I love the Bissou Balms by
Yes.
Violette FR. I love them so much. So I've got that on. I've got it on right now, actually. Rose Latte.
It looks lovely, yeah.
Shade. So I normally have a lip product. That's the one I've been going to quite often. And then, gosh, what's number 3? Aside from my phone, probably a notepad and a pen, or actually, no, I'll tell you what it is, quite genuinely, probably like a little toy or something.
For
because
your daughter.
my daughter always likes to hold something. Like this morning was a Paw Patrol toy. She was holding it at the door, and she won't let go of it until we get to nursery. And then it just comes on my day with me.
Yeah.
So that's basically all 3.
Ready for the
That's
pickup.
quite a good merge of my whole life, to be honest. Voice recorder, lipstick, and a toy.
Love it. Thank you so much, Sonia. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you. Really looking forward to catching up again and inviting you to the clinic again. Congratulations again on your book. And just to finish, for our listeners, where can we find you? Where can we order the book from?
So I am at Sonia Haria on Instagram. All of my words are in the Telegraph pretty much all the time, weekly.
Yep.
And then my book is available in all good bookstores. So W.H. Smith, Waterstones, it's on Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll speak again soon.